Hello and welcome to another Skaredcast tournament in review. I am practicing to go to the Manchester GT, my first Super Major Warhammer tournament in the UK. So, I'm going to an RTT to practice. Let's dive into the tournament and report.
The Dark King.
Hello and welcome to another tournament in report here on Skaredcast. I'm Skari, your grateful host, and this is an RTT I played at X Planet. 4 rounds in one day, 30 players, and I'm testing the list that I'm going to be taking to the Manchester GT. So, if this is the first time that you've been to or watched one of my tournaments in review, first, we're going to go over the list and tell you what I think. Second, we're going to go through all of my games, and you're going to see how I do at the event. And lastly, we're going to come back to the studio and I break down all the things I learned, ideas, concepts, moving forward, all that good stuff. So stay tuned. And here we have my 2,000 points of drukhari. That's right, 2,000 points. Now I've decided, that guy is broken. I'm gonna have to fix him before I go to the event. Okay, so this is my 2,000 point list. For those keen-eyed of you, it is very similar to the list that I took to Las Vegas Open, where I came in 5th place out of 1,000+ players. It's actually exactly the same list. And I'll explain why. I'm going to take this to the London GT, maybe not, but the Manchester GT for sure, this coming weekend. As for this tournament, it's been a couple of weeks since the LVO, so I wanted to make sure that I took this out to test it, to get the rust off. It's also a brand new meta with a new Eldari codex. The Guard codex is out there, so I wanted to play something I'm very familiar with as we go. For those brand new, of course, the link to the list will be down below, but this list is designed to do a little bit of everything. I do have Lilith Hesperax, a Beast Pack Master, an Archon with the Nightmare Shroud, and Urian Rakarth as my 4 character slots. I have a Core of the Archon with all the goodies. I have a 10 strong unit of Witches, a unit of 2 Talos with Haywires and Twin Liquefire Guns, 2 Venoms to split the Witches and Cabalites, 1 unit of 3 Grotesques with Liquefire Guns, 1 Raider with the Darklands, unit of 10 Cabalite Warriors, 2 units of 5 Racks, 2 single Chronos, 2 units of 5 Mandrakes, 2 units of 5 Scourge, 1 with 4 Dark Lances, 1 with 4 Haywire Blasters, and to round it all off, the Void Raven Bomber itself with missiles and, of course, the D-sides. I have played about 150 tournament games with this list, which makes me very comfortable with it. I kind of know where everything goes and how to use it effectively. Yes, I'm playing Sky Splinter. Yes, I only have 3 dedicated transports, but I find I don't really need more. I have enough units to play the missions with, and this list, although it doesn't seem like it, has a great deal of killing power. There's been many times where a Blood Angel player has run, 20 to 30 power armored Space Marines in front of me, and I kill all 30 of them in a single turn. So do not be fooled, this list has some teeth. Now, sadly, of course, a lot of these models are fine cast or out of stock from the Games Workshop website. Like, literally, it's really hard to even find drukhari models nowadays. So you have to source them, you have to 3D print a lot of the stuff, you have to buy them secondhand, you have to convert them or kit bash them. So it can be a little bit of a barrier to entry. So if you're very interested in playing drukhari, Dark Eldar, be prepared to do a little bit of extra work, but I guarantee you it is worth it. So let's head down to the event at X Planet. Huge shout out to Lionel, who's been a great supporter of the channel for many, many years. We're going to play 4 rounds, and then we'll come back to the studio. I'll see you there. And we're here at tournament day. Everybody's hanging out. We've got, almost 30 people playing, and I get to play a Dustin round.
Round 1, baby.
That's right. There's nothing like good practice at the local RTT. Round number 1, I'm playing against Dustin, of course, and he's playing Host of Ascension, Gene Stealer Cult. Dickie right here, Team Canada Dickie. He's playing Orcs. Say Orcs, Orcs, Orcs.
I don't know. They're good.
They're good. He's got
like World Eaters.
Daka Orcs, Daka Orcs. And I'm playing, I went first on this mission, sadly, but it is what it is. At least I get some good practice against good peeps before Manchester, which is next weekend, which I'm really, really, really excited about as well. End of the game. I had a great time with Dustin. It came down to Urian making way too many 4-up invols, going into 4-up Field of Pains. My Archon passing some Saddlefield saves, actually, which is really great. And Lilith just going ham and killing like 20 neophytes by herself, and then surviving, and then just being really annoying. And then these grotesques surviving too. Anyway, all in all, victory. It was a 12, 11-9, 12-8, something like that. Yeah, so very, very close game. But with that, on to round number 2. Make sure you check us out, Starter Scrap Podcast. Go! Round number 2, playing against Vanguard Nids. Lucas over here. So we've got... I'm going first on Supply Drop, which is going to be tough to play in terms of mission, because that's the one that remains till the end. That's the first one to go away. This one's going to last a few turns. You know, going first is not bad. There aren't any sort of like big shooty bugs. It's all like Gene Stealers and Raveners and things like that, which is going to be interesting. At least there's no like Morlocks or any Trigons for the closer deep strikes. So we'll see. I've got my Beast Pack kind of getting ready to go be annoying. We'll see if they kind of like do some shenanigans as well, and we'll see from there. And that is game. I did end up winning the game. Lucas had way too many models. He ended up running out of time. But I was able to claw that out. It was a bloodbath. There was like one Broodlord left at the end. We had the fighty full unit of warriors. That's like the only thing that kept me in the game, was the warriors didn't participate in the game at all. And the Hive Tyrant was over there punching a Void Raven bomber out of the sky. 300 points. 300 points. 300 points. No, I'm not going to stop till it's 300 points. Okay, on to lunch and then round number 2. Round number 3, playing against Dark Angels. Playing Peter and his awesome looking Dark Angels. He's playing, not Unforgiven. Inner Circle. Yeah, Inner Circle Task Force. Oh yeah, I owned the moment on the beast. I went first, again. I'm taking hold. Yeah, third time going first. Really good for missions and stuff, especially this one, right? Well, it's going to be a fun time. Let's see what happens. And that's the end of the game. At the end of the game, we had Belial running around and 5 Deathwing Knights with a Terminated Captain. There you go. He's running around going to kill the witches. I did kill a lot of Space Marines this game. To like relatively little casualties, surprisingly enough. There was like a big turn where the champions moved in and then killed my grotesque, but then Urien was in the combat and he precisioned out Azrael, and that sort of set the tone for like the attacks in. And because I was able to go first, I was able to shoot the repulsor away turn 1, which had a huge impact on the Blade Guard veterans not being able to push under that objective because I blocked them with a Beast Pack. So the Beast Pack basically scattered up, moved up, and I made a wall. And was able to basically score comfortably.
And lost the 4-up Invulnerable when
Yes, and they lost the 4-up Invul when Azrael died, which meant that like the court just went to town on them, and then the court just kept on Raider here, jumping out, murdering something, coming back in, going, murdering. And then the Void Raven Bomber, once the Ballistus Dreadnought was dead and the Repulsor was dead, kind of like had free reign of the table, just nuking all of the little support units. So with that, 3-0, let's go to round number 4. That's right, 4 rounds in a day. Whew. I'm tired, but we have to practice for the Manchester GT, although the train will be different. So that's going to be practice in and of itself when I get there. And final match, I played against Genestealer Cult. Fantastic close game. I did end up winning, but you can watch it on X Planet Live. So I'll put a link to the video down below. You can watch the whole game if you'd like. Very, very tight game against a million little Acolyte units, trucks, rock grinders. On Terraform, this is going to be the first mission of UKTC Manchester, so I'm glad I got to test it. It's different like layout in terms of terrain, but it gave me a good idea of like the mission and playing the whole thing, because Terraform on long deployments is not something we do in the US or Canada very often, so it's definitely interesting to fight. All in all, I want to say Bomber, Beast Pack, Lilith, and Talos, MVPs for this match. Absolute MVPs. But other than that, fantastic. Let's go back to the studio, talk a little bit about the army and, you know, what I learned. Because with the meta that's shifting, there's always stuff that we have to keep tabs on to make sure that we get ready to rock and roll. And we're back at the studio. That's right, 4 rounds of Warhammer. Now, that last round, fantastic, close game against Genestealer Cult. You can watch that entire game. The link in the description or in the comments, I'll put it there. Lionel has been doing X Planet Live. It's a live stream. He does a 40k live stream every Friday night or Friday evening, Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you check that out. Sub if you want to get some really cool content, and go and watch the game if you want to see how I sort of clawed my way back in that game until the end, where it was a really tight, really close match. and you can kind of see how I did it. Other than that, 4-0. Great practice. And let's dive into a couple of things and thoughts before going to Manchester next weekend. As you might know, my goal is to be the #1 ITC player in the world. Now, they recently updated their points gained and stuff for the ITC, so I'm very curious to see how that's going to modify my plan of going to all the super majors this year. But I'm still going to Manchester GT. I'm going to be at LGT. I'm going to be at War Masters. I'm going to be at a couple of the big US events potentially. I'm also going to try and get to some bigger events here in Canada. So I will see you there. But this list has proven to be, once again, a very versatile list. I played twice into Gene Stealer Cult. Units like the Grotesques and Lilith and the Bomber were very, very useful in those matchups. The Beast Pack is just incredible in most matchups. This unit takes me out of a pickle or a bind almost every single time. Where I use them, whether I use them early like I did into the Tyranids to move, block, and screen, or I use them late like against the Gene Stealer Cult player in the final round, where I use them to sort of start mopping up once he couldn't resurrect all of his little acolytes over and over and over again. All in all, I love it's got a little bit of beefiness, it's got flamers, it's got anti-tank, anti-infantry, it's got movement, it's got maneuverability, survivability, and it's just a well-rounded drukhari list. It's very hard for me not to play something like this that has a little bit of everything. That brings me to what I want to do going to the Manchester GT this weekend. So anybody who is from across the pond knows that the Manchester GT has a very unique terrain style. Not only do they have a unique terrain style, they have a very unique set of things like FAQs, where something like a Raider or a Venom can overhang the table, and that's legal. Now, yes, raw, there is a sentence that allows that. However, rules by reading the other rules and commentary and intent doesn't seem like that's what they wanted on the rules, but it is what it is. I'm going to play however it is there, but it's going to be interesting to see how that changes the dynamic of some of the matchups. Like, for example, Eldarf Wave Serpents that can sort of squeeze around the edge of the board, around ruins and stuff, where they're not normally allowed to do so in most other events. There's also a lot of firing lanes when playing in UKTC terrain. Now, I have practiced a few games on UKTC terrain, and yes, the firing lanes are different than in WTC or World Championship or Games Workshop style layouts. So that's going to be the most interesting thing. So, I've had quite a few people come up to me and ask me if I'm changing my list or I'm going to be doing anything specific to prepare or to, be ready for UKTC meta. The key here is I'm not changing my list. Now, the reason is this is my first time going to the Manchester GT, which will be this weekend. First time going to a UKTC event, which means that I am there to learn. I'm there to perform. Yes, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to play as many games of Warhammer as I have to. I'm going to play every single turn. I'm going to make it happen. I'm just going to go. I'm going to do my best. But I've never experienced the meta out there because of the terrain specifically. I've never experienced the terrain or the different players out there, which means I'm very, very curious to see how I do. So that means that my expectations are to go have fun and learn, to be ready for something like the LGT, or if I go to another super major in the UKTC meta. That means that I should take something I'm very comfortable with. Namely, my Dark Eldar list that I went to LVO with and I've played hundreds of games with. Why? Because when it comes to having changes, differences in terrain, differences in meta, differences in opponents, my list remains constant. That means I'm more likely to leverage the knowledge I have of my list going to this event and sort of on the fly be more prepared, which I think is super important because I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't really know how I need to screen. I don't really know how I need to stage on these tables. I can play on TTS and I can practice, but nothing really beats the actually being there and playing against armies that are designed to play on that terrain format. Not only that, but at the UKTC events, they run the same missions in the same order every single time. That is weird to me. Very weird. Because it allows you to build a list that is good at very specific missions. Because the terrain layouts are tied to each mission, it allows you to be basically prepared for every mission in order, for every terrain layout in order, which some people might like. I personally don't think that is a good way of doing tournaments, because it sort of takes away a lot of the creativity of problem solving in the moment that I personally feel is important for a game like this. However, I'm really excited to go test it and to try it, because folks that are doing well at the UKTC meta in general fine-tune their lists, fine-tune their thought process, fine-tune everything they need to do every game in order to get the maximum benefit that they can from their chosen faction in any game. This means that any game I win is going to be sort of like a notch in the yes, because it shows that I can go with a list that I know to a meta that I don't know, to sort of like a system that is designed to reward you from playing in it over and over again and getting good at those missions and that terrain layout and still trying to do okay. I'm gonna go have fun, and I hope to see any of you there. Make sure you come up to me if you're there, say hi. I'm gonna have dice to give out and stuff like that. Other than that, I'm really excited to test this out, as it is one more step on the long journey to number 1. And there you have it, my humble Drukhari army, and I'll see you at Manchester GT. A huge shout out to the channel sponsor, the Red Dragon, who is literally sponsoring me to go to the Manchester GT. So check the link in the description below. There's a 10% discount code that you can use store-wide. You know, I know a few people even use it for Magic cards and stuff, which is really awesome. And a huge shout out to the channel Patreons, without whom literally none of this is possible. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. The links to all that are in the description. If you have any comments, let me know down below what you think, what you like, what you don't like. And in order to know if anybody's kind of listened to the end, if you watch to the end here, make sure you let me know whether or not you've ever been to a UKTC event before, what you think of their weird terrain layouts and potentially their rulings, and what you expect. You know, what do you expect to see after I get back? Do you think I'll like it? Do you think I'll not like it? But I'm really, really curious. After all, I've been Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Skari out. Ah, the Dark Kin. Bye, everybody.